What is up, everybody? This video is going to be about cumulative delta. I get the question asked frequent enough about doing videos or just explaining the cumulative delta, so it's time to do that. So we're going to go over what the cumulative delta is, what it can tell you, how you can use it, my opinion on it, and we're going to do a little tape reading in conjunction with the delta because that's what this channel is about. So I want to put this out front now. I'm going to put a little bit of my opinion out there right now. And the further along we get in this video, the more I'll share why with you my opinion is, what it is about this. And I simply don't really use it. To me, it's just a technical indicator. It seems to have this prestige amongst order flow traders for whatever reason. I haven't figured it out, so I'm not really an expert in it at all, but there's a lot of information out there on it. I've tried to use it in the past. There are times when it does work, but you don't need to see it to see when that happens. But then again, I'm a momentum scalper, so it doesn't benefit me in any way, and I'll, again, explain that further along as we go in this video. It's just a technical indicator. So what exactly is it? It's going to be this squiggly white line down here that says cumulative delta. It is going to be a rolling history of buy market orders minus sell market orders. So you can also see it here. It looks like a candlestick chart down here, but it's not. It's literally the same thing as this. It just looks a little different. And this is your price chart up here. Again, this is a 1 minute chart. This is on Sierra. We'll also look at it on Jigsaw. So your oh, fuck me, dude. Did I really just fast forward that? Oh God. Yeah, here it is. Sorry about that. So here we go. This is exactly where we were at. So it's these buy market order minus this sell market order, and it basically will give you some sort of number, which it gets plotted here. You can see there's a number of 0, negative 500, or positive 500. So if there's more buy market orders versus sell market orders, that number can be either positive or negative. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. It doesn't mean more sellers are in control if the number is negative. I mean, you can see right here it's negative, and the fucking market ran up quite a lot of points there. So it really doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. The way people use it is to show if there's more, if buyers or sellers are more aggressive when you test a certain area for the second or third go around. That's what it's basically used for. So for example, you much like any other technical stochastic indicator or whatever, you can use it for divergences. Jigsaw actually has a feature where you can set up alerts with the delta to let you know when there's a divergence. So like, for instance, this is a low, or this is a higher high over here. Oops. Yeah. Okay, cool. I got the right shit up. And this is a lower high. So you can see the delta's diverging because of the of the price. So theoretically, you would go short here, and then you would ride this sweet move down, and then you would make all this money. And I'm going to show you how not easy that's to see, because we're going to actually watch this example. This particular video is the same exact example, and we're going to read the tape. This down move here was actually pretty surprising. I didn't see that coming, and it was a little abnormal. So in a perfect world, it looks great on a fucking chart, but that's not how it works. So we're going to watch this example here. And we're going to watch it about right here. So I've messed with it. It can work, but you don't need it. If you know how to read the tape and order flow, you really Don't need it. Again, my opinion's so fucking biased. Okay? Don't get pissed at me if I'm throwing this under the bus and you really like it. And don't be discouraged not to look at it. I mean, go ahead and look at the fucking thing if you want. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's pretty late at night and I'm breaking shit. So that's one way to look at it. I mean, if you look at this entire day, there's another example of it working, which would be right here. Yeah, see, I mean, you know, I don't have an example of this recorded, but that's one way to look at it. So basically what you're seeing is that the last time we tested here, there was clearly more buying orders. Again, it's buy market orders minus sell market orders. So there was a lot more buying going on than selling at this point. And when you fast forward in the future, you have a lot less buying going on than you did back here. So therefore, it makes sense this move is going to fail, right? I mean, but how do you fucking know? You know what I'm saying? How do you really know when you're going into the fog of war? When you don't really see what's about to happen, you really don't know, because when you, I mean, that's why technical analysis, in my opinion, these indicators, they kind of fucking suck, because when it's panning out, you really don't know that this, I mean, it looks great on a chart, but you didn't know that was the top of this move. I mean, possibly. So, I'm sorry, it's late and I'm hearing weird fucking noises. Yeah, but that's one example of it. So another example would be, I mean, that's the, I looked at this thing. I don't think there's any other divergences. You can measure it on the bottom end of it as well. You don't have to draw the line on top of it. So when I see it work is when it has a gross, it's grossly obvious. Like this one, it's a little harder to see. I mean, you definitely can see it over here. But in this particular example, it's quite obvious. I want to show you a video. There's two things that can happen when you have these divergences set up. So I don't have an example of this first scenario. Theoretically, it would be better if this was a double top. So if I had a double top right here and pretend that blue line, pretend the price didn't go up here, it bounced off this blue line twice. Typically when I see maybe some resting size that's sitting here, again, this is the resting size on the heat map. There's 353 that's been there for a while on the offer. If I may see like say 600, 700 sitting there, and it's been sitting there for an hour, 30 minutes, and we test it the second time and the delta is highly diverged on the second go around, typically it's going to have a nice pullback like this. Not always. It really fucking depends, because you really don't know. You don't know what these traders are thinking in the future. That's the reality of trading. You really don't fucking know what's about to happen. And like this sharp move here, you didn't know this was coming. I'm just letting you know that. And you'll see. But if I see resting size there and it's like a double top and we test the second go and it's highly diverged on the delta, that means there's a less selling or less buying, I should say. Typically that might be a good move, but usually it's going to pull back on that double top when there's a lot less volume flowing in. Okay, this thing could be diverged, and if there's enough aggression and enough buy market orders going on right here, they can get through that size and it can continue up. It really depends on the profile. Again, I use the profile quite a bit, so it depends on the volume profile, where we're at in that. Are we on a low node, or are we at an area where it can potentially run a gap maybe? So typically you'll know that it's going to fail before it does, and you'll know that there could be a good pullback without really seeing the divergence in that particular example. If hopefully you guys are following me on this deal. So another time you see these sort of divergences play out, this is from yesterday. Same thing with like stochastics or anything. So this is going to be right at 2 o'clock Chicago. This is right when the bond market closed. Notice you have all these orders that just pile in, all these buying orders, these huge buy orders. And there's not going to be any trades in this video, by the way. There might be a losing trade. Strictly educational. Boom. So the bond market closed, and then I don't really have an example. Notice how the price just flies back down, right? This is another time a divergence is set up on, say, a stochastic or your delta, is all of a sudden you have all these orders come in out of nowhere. And typically when you have a sharp move up on just all of a sudden out of nowhere, you have all this volume come in like you just saw in this particular example. Typically that's going to cause a divergence in your indicator as well. But if you watch this market long enough, you'll know that it's going to pull back. Also, it's actually at a sort of a high node, a point of control, and it bounces right under it beautifully. And it's just such an overextended, dramatic move. Again, it's the bond market closing. So typically when something like this happens, there's going to be a bit of a pullback. But unfortunately, I don't have the delta pulled up here. But this can kind of trick the indicator into making it look diverted, which it will be diverted. And you can just see this dramatic move happen out of nowhere. And typically when you have just an out of nowhere dramatic move, it's going to pull back. That's just the nature of it. Most of the time it just pulls back. So usually it hits a pretty key area on the profile, like a really large node or something like that, or some sort of resting size. And if it's not an intentional move to get through an area, again, it'll pull back. So when you see shit like that, and I'm not saying that's what happened in this particular example. Oh fuck. I'm not saying that's what happened in this particular divergence. I don't have a recording of it. But again, it very well could. I mean, look at these are 1 minute candles. So I mean, oops. If you're looking at it, give me just a second here. So if you're looking at this deal, this candle is actually, or bar, I should say. Try to get this thing more large. This particular bar is actually pretty freaking overextended. I mean, it looked like, look how this thing's rotating up, and your delta's kind of just doing its thing down here. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, kind of like that video I just showed you, all this volume just floods in, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, look how large this bar is on a 1 minute. So potentially a shitload of volume just came in and shoved the market up. Actually, that would be interesting to see on a histogram. Let's see on a histogram what happened here. Well, that doesn't help any. You got a little bit more volume coming in right there. Shit. Let me take that away. This could, I mean, theoretically, could be kind of what you're seeing happening on more of a larger time frame. I think the delta works a little bit better when you're looking at a bigger picture of the whole fucking deal. But again, how do you really know this is going to roll over? I mean, if I'm watching this, first and foremost, is there size up there? What's the profile look like? I mean, if you look at back here, the market was being somewhat propped up in this area. This probably was actually a point of control with the way this was all clumped up in here. So it kind of makes sense that when you get a dramatic move, it bangs off the point of control at some point. It's just this Z pattern type thing I see. It's an auctioning pattern. So there's more to it than just the delta is what I'm trying to tell you. But we're going to go ahead and just watch this particular example and how hard it is to even see this shit unfolding. So let's look at it. Well, let me pull up the appropriate video here. Here we go. So this, again, I'm going to be flipping back and forth. Unfortunately, the delta isn't up here. But again, this is exactly what's happening here. The move's chopping and moving up. This is a 4-second chart, so it's a little more overextended looking than this 1-minute chart. So you have this low volume node. Well, actually, it's where the profile tapers. Ooh, excuse me. This is where the profile tapers. You had size sitting up here. This is also 50. This is sort of an important level that I marked the previous day. A lot of my markings are from the previous day on here in this current example. So you have size and you have all these buy orders trying to get up in here. And what's happening is your buyers aren't being aggressive enough. Now, again, that's quite a bit of fucking volume to really get a move going. But you have several layers of fucking defense that they have to get through, okay? So that's going to be a real motherfucker. And your little divergence shit ain't going to tell you that shit. The problem with the delta is it doesn't tell you how aggressive buyers and sellers are being on the bid or offer. It doesn't show you how aggressively these guys are absorbing these market orders that come in. All it's showing you is the difference between buy market orders and sell market orders, which to me is kind of doesn't really matter. What happened here doesn't matter right now because those traders have already executed their fucking orders. So what makes you think they're going to participate right here? So you don't fucking really know. And again, with my opinion, you don't see this shit. You don't see that there's several lines of defense here. This is like this is a legitimate defensive area, and I can already tell you by just looking at it that it's good defense. And you're also hitting the standard deviation on your profile. You can see how it's putting in a bell curve here, and you're at the extreme edge of that bell curve. So you have so much working for this just to fail in going up. And your delta, I mean, you don't really get that information from the delta at all. Just looking at this tells you everything you need to know that this move is going to probably fail. And that's a lot of buy market orders coming in. This isn't just some bullshit market orders. These are legitimate big players coming in on the tape that are trying to get this thing going. And again, this is a legitimate defensive position. I'm actually considering a long, but I'm like, ugh, it looks like shit. Now they're putting in sort of a large bid here. Your volume starting to pick up on the retail end of it. A lot more selling on the retail end. And, I mean, you're getting some absorption on your footprint. So if you look at your footprint, you're definitely getting absorption in here. Somebody is obviously interested in this level. I mean, it's 50. Somebody's been interested in this level. So whoever had the large offer here, they're working these orders. They're doing something. Whether they're going long or short, we don't know. It really doesn't matter. We don't know if their interest is open or closed. And this is actually, this is also a delta. This number is going to differ from the number on here because when I reset my footprint, this delta gets reset. So the delta can get reset every time I reset the footprint. So this is buy market orders minus sell market orders, and currently there's more buyers in this particular example, whereas this just goes backwards forever. So that's why it's currently at 0 in this particular example, whereas this is 1440. So you can see how the number being negative or minus, it really depends if you're resetting these things or not. I like to reset my footprint every now and then to get a fresh view of shit, because after a while it gets cluttered with crap. So again, it's just a really nice defensive position. Buyers aren't there. Buyers really got to pony up hardcore to get through here. And if they're trying to get through here, what you're seeing here isn't going to just get buyers through free and clear. These sellers are going to absorb up here. So just because you have 429 here doesn't mean it's going to take 429 to get through there. It's going to be a real motherfucker to get through all this. And the buyers just don't have that kind of commitment. As you can see, I mean, buyers really aren't stepping up. It is sort of lower volume. This is a Friday afternoon, too. Sellers starting to step up, you can see on the tape, and you want to keep your eye on the tape, by the way. So your sellers are starting to step up to the plate here, starting to drive the move down a little bit. Now you got bigger sellers coming in. Just a real lack of buying. I mean, and that's the thing. Just because this happened here doesn't necessarily mean there was any less aggressiveness when we got up here. If you look at this particular, I mean, when all those 100 lots on the buy-in, oh shit, what did I fucking do? Okay, here we go. Hold on, there we go. I mean, if you're looking at this shit, whatever happened back here, I mean, doesn't mean that buyers were any less aggressive than they were here. They could have been throwing multiple 100 lots at it, and the defense was just so good there that it happens to look like a diversion. This is almost kind of like an optical illusion, to be honest with you. It really isn't that fucking great. Now, there are times where maybe this would actually be, maybe this is a double top, right? Or maybe this would be a lower low, and this would be a higher high. Typically, when you see the delta inversed in its diversion, like you would see the delta going up here and then the price dropping, or flat top right here. Typically, that means absorption. When you see your delta is going up on a double top or something, typically it tells you there was some sort of absorption there. But again, your footprint and just watching is enough to tell you. But I got to make this video to refer people to it, because again, people want to know. And if you have great success with it, go ahead and let me know. I'd love to see how you trade the delta. I'd be highly interested in it and what you're seeing or doing with it. But anyways, just no buyers, really not much volume. No big buyers, that is. You getting your retails trickling in on the tape and shit. And again, this is 50. It's getting absorbed, so let's fast forward a little bit. So the move just ends up crapping on its feet. You really don't miss anything exciting. There's really nothing goes on up here. It's just this low volume shit. Now we're going to go ahead and go to this move that you see here at, what time is that? 43. Which is actually setting up in 2 minutes, so we'll go ahead and watch that. Now you can see sellers are starting to get more aggressive. And the way I look at it, this thing put in a lower low, and we're breaching this area, this 49.25, on substantially larger selling orders than we did previously. So that tells me that this is done with up here. Plus the defense is so stout. I don't need to look at this to know that this move is done. So that's an example of just knowing your order flow and how to read this shit to know that this is done with, okay? This right here is some lazy shit, trying to use a delta. All right, I'm kind of being a little obnoxious about it. There are professional guys in prop firms that do use it. Again, I don't fucking know how, and it doesn't work with what I do. So, again, if you're position trading, it could work. But, I mean, this channel is all momentum scalping. So, that's what I know. Quite a bit of absorption on the sell side actually happened here when you look at the footprint. 1519 orders came in, but then again, that absorption was because of this bullshit chopping around and shit. So naturally, it's gonna look like it was absorbed, but it was just not moving. So this real big drop is just gonna come out of nowhere. And again, this is sort of a bell curve. We've already been trading on the lower half. I'm trying to figure out, is it going to bounce on this midpoint? Because it could bounce on this midpoint. Or it could just drop through, and if it keeps dropping through, there's a high probability it's going to breach down here in the 46. So, again, we're kind of watching for this big bar. Buyers starting to step up in the deal again, and it is sort of bouncing off near the midpoint of it. So it kind of makes sense. And if it goes for it for the third time, if it goes up there a third go, there's a higher probability it's going to put in a slightly higher high than it did here. But again, the defense is so strong. Rallying up again. And notice nothing's really trickling in. There it goes. And welcome to trading a Friday afternoon, which can be very boring. But you gotta watch it like a hawk because you'll miss some good shit. Now that right there, did you really fucking see that coming? Huh? Did you really know that was gonna fucking happen? Did you know that was gonna... Did you know that all these fucking large sell block orders were going to fucking juice the market and the thing was going to shit on its feet? No, you didn't know somebody was going to do that shit. The way that was looking, poor fucking retail got stopped the fuck out on that too. Some of them did. But to me, I really don't know. I mean, when I take a trade, not most of the time, there are times where I don't really know the fucking direction. I'm okay with playing either side of it. It just really, it's on a pivotal point. Meaning this is an area where it could go either way, and I need to see the order flow to determine where I want to get in on it, long or short. So, you didn't fucking know that was coming, right? You didn't fucking know. You didn't know that this shit was a fucking divergence. This shit looked like it was about to go up. I mean, you got all these mid-size. There's more mid-size buyers here. It looks like it might go up. Yes, it's kind of slanting down and putting in let's go back. Let's go back a little bit more. I mean, in theory, it's bouncing off this midpoint, and it makes sense that it could test up there. I mean, just reading the order flow. Sometimes it needs to put in a bigger pullback before it goes up. Shit happens all the time. Shit happens all the time. Sometimes this is what we needed to get through here. And really, just how surprising that move was going down, that's kind of what you're betting on when you're trying to get through these fucking levels like that. But again, the defense is so strong. But if we're getting up here, all of a sudden a massive buyer comes in on 50 because this is a level that they like. These larger traders like this 50. Maybe this 400 pulls off to 200. Sellers might start getting out of the way. We don't know. You really never know until you see the interaction. That's the thing. I make my decisions. Most of my decisions are made right then and there within a few seconds of seeing the order flow. I need to know what might happen in the next few seconds. Yes, I can identify where there might be potential momentum, not that kind of fucking momentum. But in certain areas, I know where there might be some momentum or stops accumulating, and then I'll go for it. I mean, you fucking look at this shit. This is why I fucking hate those YouTube channels where they just show you this shit. And you're like, oh, yeah, the fucking diversion. You just you go short on the diversion right here. That's all you got to do. And you make all this money. You didn't fucking know. You didn't fucking know that. Sorry, guys. It's late. You didn't know that this was going to happen. You didn't know. You didn't know. So it looks fucking great on this stupid fucking chart. But in reality, you didn't fucking know. In reality, it looked good for a test up, but I mean, everything up here, just, you don't know when the buyers are just going to magically come in. Just like you didn't see this shit happening. They very well could have done the same shit going up. That's the thing. You don't know the intentions of what other people are about to do in the future. You just can't predict the future with the fucking diversion shit. Okay? This is a different circumstance than other diversions you see on your delta. I mean, that other shit right here, the same thing. Look, there's no dramatic bars selling down on it. This is a whole different fucking story. A whole different thing happened here. And the delta just happened to divert. People use it, okay? People do use it. But when it comes to momentum scalping, it doesn't work that great. I think I have another example of it doing some fucking weird shit. Okay, here you go. Here it is on the 4-second chart, and it's a lot more useless on a second chart than it would be on something bigger. If you're maybe looking at a daily and you're looking at a double top, potentially it could work. I don't know. I don't study it. But if you look at it, notice that down here, because I decided to put it on, I'm like, I'm going to do a fucking video on it. Notice how it's sinking in kind of with the price here, and then all of a sudden it's slightly higher here. So it's sort of diverting. There's your double bottom, right? You have a double bottom here, and now your delta's diverting, okay? What do you think's going to happen? It's just going to go up? Well, let's get some context. There's your dramatic move down. There's your profile. You're in a low-noted area. Then you have another distribution zone here. And when you have these double distribution zones, the same shit tends to happen. I have other videos on this kind of crap. I don't remember which ones I mentioned this in. Possibly the price action video. But it just makes sense that really here it's kind of pivotal. The volume and just the overall volatility isn't there. It hasn't been there pretty much this entire fucking week. In the afternoons, it's just been things have been different. I think there's a lot of indecision. I don't know. I really don't know. I scalp. I can't predict this. But there's size that's been sitting here for a while. So there's a high probability it might bounce it off. But let's read the fucking tape because these are actual orders that are coming in on the deal. Oh, looks like it's breaching it. Still a diversion, right? Still a diversion, right? Maybe you went long because you saw this fucking shit. Okay? You look at the tape. You got quite a bit of selling coming in. You have this nice 50 lot that came in. That's good to see. Still have a lot of retail selling. Now, one thing you notice, yeah, you have the 50 buy that came in, but If you notice that a lot of retail selling's coming in on these lower volume, lower volatility days, I should say. Typically, reading the tape is a little different in these lower volatility environments. That's a whole nother video I got to do. I was going to combine the videos, but I just didn't. Did you know that was going to happen, though? Did you know that this 53, this 37, 53, and this 30 were going to come in? No, you didn't know that. Now, all of a sudden, your fucking delta's not diverting anymore. Now your delta's actually starting to fucking drop in. Maybe you went fucking long. How do you nail this shit right on the turning point? That's what I'm trying to ask. You can't, because you don't know. And that's why other technical indicators don't really work that fucking well. Anyways, I'm having fun, guys. All right, let me just talk a little shit about technical indicators. Nothing against it. I just having fun, all right? It's like rooting for your favorite sports team. Order flow. So you're having all this retail fucking selling come in. It's really getting embedded up in here. Again, you did have this large size that was sitting at 45. Somebody is actively accumulating these market orders that are coming in. Somebody wants 45. So just because that size isn't there doesn't mean they're fucking iceberging the motherfucker. I mean, shit. 400. There wasn't 400 sitting there. Look, now your delta's not diverted anymore. Now your delta's actually starting to go down with the fucking shit. Again, this type of play makes more sense if it's happened over the course of maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and it's grossly diverted, like it's blatantly obvious. But this, again, this is on such a minuscule, small time frame that you're not quite getting that. So now we have this high volume edge, and you got size defending it. Do I take a trade here? I did take a trade somewhere back here at 144. So I took a trade over here. We'll rewind it so you can see that trade. Might as well show you a good fucking trade. Now you just got random shit, but now buyers are starting to step up to the plate. And I believe, yeah, see all this buying coming in on your tape? Notice how your shit's really not even diverted anymore. So again, it doesn't work well on these second charts, and it doesn't even work that well on these 1 minute charts. I think if you really gonna take some full advantage of it, you need to look at a bigger time frame. But then again, at the same time, you really never know who's gonna do what. Like when that move just dropped on its face, you didn't know that was coming. Nobody did, except for the people that fucking executed it. There it goes. Notice. So I believe it actually, yep. I mean, it really, you know what I'm saying? Look, it was diverting, and now it's not. And now it's just kind of useless on these shits. But let's go ahead and watch a fucking trade. And we'll wrap it up here. Okay, so here's what I was seeing here. So we had this nice drop. I'm like, all right, this might be a good fucking play to get back up in here. It bounced off near this low node, which is good. I'm a little indifferent to the move. A lot of selling market orders coming in on the retail end of the deal. Now, all of a sudden, you have this 314 come here. When you see a large offer or bid just come out of nowhere, typically that's just bullshit. This looked to me like a fucking spoof. Typically, that's going to get filled, and there might be some sort of pop, maybe not. You really never know on these things. But now it's banging around in here. And it makes sense that after that extended move, you have a nice pullback. We put in a lower low. This is sort of a Z pattern. And the way everything's aligning for my setup, it just makes sense that this is a pretty good fucking setup to fade. It's lower volatility conditions. I know volume's banging in at a decent rate, but for the most part, if you look at this shit, it's pretty dead all across the board. So I take a shot at it because I know it's going to be... I know the upside to this is potentially more rewarding than the risk I'm taking on it. There's the reward on it's potentially to 48. 47 could be a motherfucker. Definitely 47. And I'm going to be risking 45, 44, 75, but there's definitely a bigger reward to it. I'm more than likely going to pull out of the fucking deal. Yeah. And again, this is my emergency stop, not where I'm going to actually get the fuck out of the deal. And again, you had quite a lot of buying coming in on this thing. Yeah, you have a lot of buying coming in on this deal as well. And again, that large offer kind of keyed me off because I want to go into that. I'm like, that's bullshit, because usually when you see that stuff come out, it's all bullshit. So again, we have a dramatic move. We got a lower low. That's the Z pattern. This is also the edge of the profile. And then you have size defending it, and you had a large offer come in out of nowhere. All that shit together just is multiple indicators that this is going to work for a long, or there's a higher probability that it will. And again, it's a lower volume day. It really is. I know it's flowing in rather well. I mean, look how much buying just came in. It is getting absorbed here, which I don't like. So I'm actually trading two. This is I don't have that many videos explaining my managing technique with scaling out two. But I'm getting out of the one right here because it's really starting to hesitate, and I need to get paid on the deal. So I get paid on it, and I'm going to let this other one run as far as I can get it. This is really the bonus, but it's starting to fail there. I mean, you have a lot of buying, and I noticed just the amount of absorbing. Look at the footprint. Look how these buyers are starting to get absorbed on the sell end of the deal. I don't like that. I'm like, ooh, this is starting to look like it could potentially fail. We're also banging up against this higher node at 47 even. We're really not getting into it. I don't like that. So I decided just to take the whole fucking deal off of the trade, which is good. This is intuition. And not only did you have absorbing here, you had absorbing up there. Now you have size coming back in, which that's not a good deal when it comes in the second time like that. But we had substantial amount of buying with mid-size buying too that was happening here, and they were not making progress. Like look at, you got a 50 lot coming in. You have all this retail shit. I take the one deal off. Or no, I liquidated the whole position. Hold on, let's see. This is my first time reviewing this one, so. Again, we did have absorption up here at one point. High probability it's going to happen again because, I mean, this profile was reset, or this footprint was reset. So all this happened on this move. All that absorbing. So I want to get paid on the deal. We're having all this back ticking. I know there's a not a high probability. I know there's a probability that it could roll here. It would make sense that it would roll here if it's gonna roll and go through the lows. It just makes sense that if it's gonna roll, it's gonna roll here. So I'm going to go ahead and get paid on the first contract because took on some risk just to get in it. I think I took 2 ticks of heat. And we're just having all this buying coming in. And look how small that offer was. That offer won shit. It was reloading, basically. So get the one off. Look, it's only 5, right? So holding it, the buyers aren't stepping up to the plate. It gets banged down. Just a lot of this back and forth. I don't fucking like that. And I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I made $75 on it. And good thing I got the fuck out of it, because look, it failed. Just also it's screen time. I'm a market specialist when it comes to the ESE Mini, because that's all I fucking look at. Like, I tried looking at crude. I bought data for crude. I was gonna trade crude, and I'm like, ugh, I don't like this at all. Everything, I'd have to relearn everything just to trade crude, and it's too distracting, because I need to be in this shit 100%. I can't be looking at two different markets. Otherwise, I start to lose context of what's happening in here, and I can miss something. And also, I'm not trading the ES at my full ability. So until I'm maxed the fuck out in it, I'm just going to trade this, is the way I look at it. So hopefully you guys like that. Delta, it sucks. But I mean, look at the way this was setting up here. This is where I got, it was definitely diverged from, so if we draw a line here to where I got out, it was definitely diverged, but it was starting to work its way up. It's not, when it comes to scalping, it's not that great, guys. You just need to learn how to, you need to understand the market's behavior. You need to understand auction market theory, profiles. You need to understand how to read the tape and just order flow. And in my opinion, that's all you really need to be able to find great setups in the ES. Delta, it doesn't work for me. But I've been asked about it, so, you know, there's a video on it, and that's how I just wanted to explain to you guys why I think it's bullshit. Again, professionals do use it, and they do use it with great success, but they're using it in conjunction with other things. It's like, you really don't know that this was a turning point. And this probably isn't even the best fucking example of a delta divergence, to be honest with you. If I can get a better example, I'll probably do a video if I'm thinking about that. Anyways, have a good one, y'all.